mean, Tom Cruise is a freaking stud. Would you go gay for that guy?
For Tom Cruise, possibly. For Ryan Reynolds, definitely.
You would possibly to Tom Cruise?
Possibly.
All I heard was, would you go gay for that guy?
Hello everybody, welcome to a new episode of Sport Talk. I am your host, Evan, and today I'm joined by Zach and Nick, and today we got a football episode for you guys, but before we start, make sure to follow us on Instagram and TikTok at sport.talkpodcast, and to like this video and subscribe because it helps us a lot. And today we are doing our NFL season predictions, so we'll be predicting all of the divisions, and then we're going to do some playoff predictions and award predictions. So, packed episode for you guys today. But we're going to start off talking about more of a bigger topic that's been floating around. Everyone's been talking about is Deshaun Watson. He just got suspended 6 games, which was alarming to pretty much the entire NFL community other than Deshaun Watson. And the NFL recently appealed that, but then Deshaun and his camp are going to file like a lawsuit. It's got really messy. But I just wanted to get your guys' opinions on what you thought of the 6 games. So we'll start with you.
I think the 6 games is outrageous. It needs to be an indefinite suspension, I think. So that would be at least this one season. I think it's like completely ridiculous that they gave Calvin Ridley a indefinite suspension for sports gambling on his own team to win, and they give Deshaun Watson only 6 games for, like, what was it, 24 sexual assault allegations?
Yeah.
At least 24. I think that is, like, I think that's just so, like, wishy-washy by the NFL. Like, okay, you're suspending a dude for a season for gambling, and you're giving 6 games to a dude that sexually assaulted at least 24 women. Yeah. And the other one that I want to bring up is the Josh Gordon one. Several years ago with Josh Gordon, he got busted over and over again, and he was suspended for several seasons for smoking weed.
Yeah.
And they give Deshaun Watson, who sexually assaulted countless women, only 6 games. That's outrageous in my opinion.
Yeah, in terms of the length of the suspension, I couldn't agree with that more. 6 games is not enough at all. It's a slap in the face to every woman that watches the NFL, any woman who has
definitely that.
Any interest in any sport ever, any woman who's been an executive in anything. It's embarrassing. It's disgusting, quite frankly. But I don't think the NFL didn't give a suspension. Like, it was the judge's recommendation that he should get 6 games, which is not enough. Yeah, and then Roger Goodell stepped in and was basically like, we can do whatever we want,
which is good for him.
Which I agree with that. Yeah, I'm just saying, like, from past cases, this is what happened.
In terms of the, like you mentioned, I'm just going to briefly talk about the Calvin Ridley stuff, the Josh Gordon stuff. The Calvin Ridley stuff, I personally don't mind the year-long suspension because NFL players know so much more than we do.
Yeah.
When it comes, I get he was betting on his own team and all that, but they still know so much more than we do. And the NFL has to present. I'm not going to say present the illusion because it's a fair league because I don't believe that sports is rigged, but I do feel like the NFL has outcomes that they would favor. So they're going to have to hand down stuff like that, like a year-long suspension for gambling. I think that's fair just because to keep the integrity of the league in sake. And then the Josh Gordon thing. In terms of what he actually did, like, that's not worth a year-long suspension. The issue was he did it like numerous times.
Yeah,
it wasn't. It was. I think it was like 4 games the first time, and then a year-long, and then an indefinite suspension.
It got to a pretty high amount because he kept getting busted for it over
and over.
He
had his own demons that he needed to fight.
He did.
I hope he's doing good now. Like, it would make me so, like, incredibly happy to see him just succeed in whatever he decides to do, whether it be NFL or whatever.
Yeah, for sure.
He came back to the Seahawks for a little.
Yeah,
he's on the Chiefs now.
Yes.
He's on the Chiefs. Or he was last year.
Yeah, and then didn't the NFL like change their whole policy recently?
Yeah, so the NFL they changed it, I think, this past year. So that's why, like, the judge did it, not the NFL. So they wanted like a third party, like, person to make the call, I guess.
Which is fair, but this is just outrageous.
Yeah, 6
But what I
games.
find interesting is, so I feel like read into it. So the judge was a woman, first off. And so that was the first thing that I thought was interesting. And then the second thing was she said that there was no he didn't do anything like violent, or there's like little to no evidence. And I'm like, you literally have 30 accounts of this, so what other evidence do you need? But I feel like I'm glad that the NFL and Roger Goodell stepped in, and they're wanting an indefinite to at least a year suspension.
Indefinite is at least a year.
Yeah, which I think is rightfully deserved. But yeah, we'll see. But I think 6 games is ridiculous. Like you mentioned, it's just
I can't
disgusting
believe the
at
judge was a
that
woman.
point.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. And here's the thing, I get he settled 20 of the 24.
Yeah,
I think
but
technically,
still
one
happened.
is too many.
Yeah, exactly. One
If he did that to one woman, he should be suspended indefinitely.
Yeah, I
let
agree.
alone
Still happen.
And I'm all
And
for
there's still a handful of
there's
ones
still
he
4 or
hasn't
5
settled.
that he hasn't settled.
Yeah, so
and I'm all for innocent for proven guilty, or innocent until proven guilty. But when there's smoke, there's fire. It's not just 1 or 2 cases; it's 1 or 2 dozen.
yeah.
Which
Once it starts getting to that amount, which is unheard of. I've never
there's
seen,
never
I've
been a
never
case like
seen
this
this
in
before.
anything ever.
But so if you get 1 or 2 here and there, it's probably. I mean, it could be true, but it's kind of just you don't know. As long if there's not
He
evidence,
said
you brush it off because it could just be some woman
I
wants
don't want
money
to
or
say
something.
brush off sexual
Don't
assault
brush it
cases,
off, but unless there's solid evidence,
Yeah.
it's hard.
Yeah.
But with it being 1 or 2 dozen, at least some of them are true.
Yeah, something.
something happened.
Something 100% happened with that. At least a handful is true. With it being that.
And that's not even. There's 24 that he sexually assaulted or sexual misconduct. He visited 77 in 16 months.
Yeah.
77 different ones in 16 months.
And the Texans covered it up too, didn't they?
They tried to.
The Texans tried to cover it
so they
up
can get a better deal for him.
Yeah. That whole situation is just an absolute disaster. The Browns are foolish for getting involved with that.
Yeah, the NFL is also pushing for a fine as well. I think it's $8 million, which is, you just got 2 million.
I didn't know the exact amount.
Well,
Also,
that's not much, but
yeah,
it's
but
whatever.
still. Also, one thing that is to note is if you look into the history of the NFL dealing with cases like this, Ben Roethlisberger is the one that most people think of. I don't think he got 6 games, I think, as well.
Something like that.
It was very short, and then Ray Rice, when that whole thing happened, he got little to no games. So there's a history of them mishandling this type of stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping since they appealed it that maybe they're heading in a better direction. But this whole saga is going to go on for at least a month or 2 longer because
at least
it's going to just be court battles from here on out.
It's just going to get so messy.
Yeah. So
the NFL is so unbelievably inconsistent when it comes to dealing with any sort of conduct, anything. The Ray Rice thing sprung to my mind when I first heard this because everyone saw 2 games and everyone's oh, that's not enough at all. And then you saw the video, the TMZ video in the elevator where he knocked his girlfriend out in one punch.
Yeah.
And then after that, the Ravens had to cut him to save PR. But we knew it was more than just a slap, and we knew it was more than just 2 games. You could see the marks from her face from a month later. Yeah. We knew it was more than that, and then you saw the video and
see, that's what I'm saying. The NFL is just too inconsistent with all this. I agree. Okay, maybe an indefinite suspension for the gambling. Maybe I think that's even a little much, but I understand a suspension for that because like you said, they do know a lot more. They know the inside information and stuff. But just think about it. The guy's gambling.
He's using his own money.
To that point, the biggest person to the biggest gambling scandal was Pete Rose, and he's still he's still can't get into the Hall of Fame over that. So people in sports, they value gambling very high. Yeah, but they shouldn't value that over sexual assault.
Yeah, no, the NFL is just too inconsistent with this. They need to set the tone and actually hand out a legitimate punishment for this because this is ridiculous.
Yeah. Here's one thing that I'm I question. So I know when you get suspended you can appeal it, but I feel at some point you shouldn't be able to appeal a suspension. I get why, but if you're getting suspended a year. I feel you shouldn't be able to appeal that, if it's if it's a couple games, then okay, but I feel like the NFL has to put their foot down because then they're just going to lawsuit
Well,
battles.
and it just goes into a whole extra can of worms.
We go into actual legal stuff,
and
yeah.
it just makes it so much more of a longer and messier situation than it should be with appealing it, especially with the season long. I mean, this Deshaun Watson thing is gonna go on for a while.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, especially if the NFLPA and Deshaun Watson's legal team comes together and they're like, they're going to take them to court. This could go on for years.
Yeah, it could.
Wow.
We may
is
not
he gonna play during this?
I don't think. I think he will play.
He'll
So they stop getting punished.
serve out the 6
He'll serve out the
games.
6 games, and then after that, he will play until a verdict is handed down by either whatever judge or the NFL.
Yeah,
Like
but
a
what I
year
thought,
later.
Yeah.
what I thought was interesting, I didn't know this, so that he didn't get put on the commissioner's exempt list last year, so he got paid for all of last season.
Seriously?
I'm pretty sure.
He chose to sat out.
Yeah, but he
that's
didn't
true.
he didn't get put on the commissioner's exempt list, which means he still got fully paid. Which I think is interesting.
This is just, Deshaun Watson is such a.
I saw something. It was somebody
scumbag.
tweeted. It was if you're a Browns fan, how can you root for Deshaun Watson? But what really sucks is
such a
Deshaun Watson, coming out of college, everybody loved him, and he was a great everyone thought he was a great guy.
Yeah,
And,
until
he
you
was a
find
guy that
out.
you root for.
Yeah,
but then
until you find
this,
this
is gonna be what he's gonna be known for the rest of his career.
It's his own fault.
Yeah, I know. It's just.
I mean,
it's
he's
just
a dirtbag.
Yeah, it's just anyway.
Yeah, and there are people out there still defending
Yeah, I
Deshaun Watson.
How can you possibly
They're
defend
he's
this?
innocent. If you think that, I can't argue with you. I can't support anyone who actually has that thought.
I don't.
And I get.
I won't even listen to that argument because it's just, that argument is just so ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's not even
Yeah.
And let's say hypothetically he settles the last 4 in court or whatever, right? And he's technically free of any legal issues. He won't serve any prison time if he settles all of them in court. Just because you aren't going to prison for what you did doesn't mean what you did was okay.
Yeah, he's
at
just
all.
if they do settle it and he walks away without any punishment, how do you live with yourself with that?
Yeah.
You did it. There has to be some sort of a moral compass within you. Man, I did do something wrong here. Nope. He is just such a dirtbag.
Yeah. The one thing I can say is I'm glad Joe Burrow's my quarterback. That's all I can say.
I'm glad you got a franchise quarterback
Yeah, that actually.
who has a
isn't
who is not a
scumbag.
dirtbag.
Yeah. All right, shall we dive into our predictions?
Let's get into it.
Let's do it.
All right, let's start off with the AFC East. So we'll go from top of the division down, and then do you think do you want to just give a brief discussion between each team, or just go through all of them and then
We
give
could
your
just
discussion?
do a division as a whole.
Yeah.
Okay.
Are we doing records too? What we have them going?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, yeah, we're doing record. So we're going by record, top to the bottom of the division.
So
And
division
then-
leader. Okay. I guess I'll start. So we'll start with the AFC East. So I have the Buffalo Bills winning the division. I have them going 13-4. Then I have the Jets second in the division. I have them going 9-8. Then I have the Patriots third. I have them also going 9-8. And then last I have the Miami Dolphins going 7-10. My reasonings: the Bills. I think they have a complete team. I think they should have made it to the AFC Championship last year. I think Josh Allen is just going to have an amazing season. They figured out the running game, I think. They drafted James Cook, who I think is going to be more efficient and a better runner than they had in Devin Singletary. They still have Stephon Diggs, who's a top 5 receiver, top 10 receiver. They have Gabe Davis, who everyone thinks is going to have a breakout season. I think he'll do solid. They brought in Von Miller, who's a key piece to that run defense, which they lacked a little bit last year. They brought back everybody from the secondary, which was ranked first last season. So I think that'll keep up. So I think,
and they have their corner. Was it Tre'Davious White?
Yeah,
Tre'Davious
White's back.
ACL injury.
Yeah.
so he should be back sometime during the season. So I think they have all of the pieces needed to make to obviously win the division and to potentially make a deep playoff run. And yeah, they also have their strength of schedule. They have the 17th best schedule, so it's right in the middle. So it's not too difficult.
Very easy for
Very
the
favorable
first
for
team they
that
have.
team.
Not too difficult. And then the New York Jets, they're my kind of sleeper team this year. a lot of people are comparing them to like the Bengals, but I don't think they're going to have as much of. I don't like the Bengals had a crazy like Super Bowl run. I don't think that's going to happen, but I think Zach Wilson is going to break out in his second season, and I think they added a lot of offensive pieces. Elijah Moore is going to have a good second season after performing really well his rookie year. They brought in Garrett Wilson, obviously, Breece Hall, who's going to be a dynamic duo with him and Michael Carter. And then they brought in some other guys in free agency that I think are going to help. And I just think that they're and I like Robert Saleh as a coach. I think, especially in this division, I think the only teams that I think are really like good is the Bills and the Jets. I don't think it's too tough of a division right now. So I think the Jets are poised to have a better season than they did last year, if not make the playoffs. We'll see. And then the New England Patriots, I have them with the same record because, I mean, they're the New England Patriots. They have Bill Belichick still, so I still think they're going to be a decent team. I don't think they're going to do anything crazy, but I think 9-8 fits right for them. I think Mac Jones, his second year, will continue to do what he did his rookie year. I don't think he's going to be like anything super crazy, but I think he'll keep up the pace that he was going. They have their receivers are still a little bit iffy. They have a plethora of like running backs and stuff, and they're always historically have one of the better defenses, so I think that's going to help them a lot. And then the Miami Dolphins, I have them last. I just think they did get Tyreek Hill, which was a big acquisition, but I still feel like there's a lot of holes in that team. I don't know how much I trust Tua in big games just yet. They have a running back by committee with like 4 guys who are all injury prone, and I think out of really Tyreek Hill, I don't really see much else special about this team.
All right. I'll go.
Sure.
All right, sweet. I have the Bills winning. I have them going 12-5. And then I have the Jets 10-7, Patriots 9-8, and the Dolphins 7-10. So Bills, I mean, I just agree with everything you said pretty much. I think the Bills have one of the most complete teams in the league. I mean, they really aren't lacking at any position, honestly. I mean, I think Josh Allen's going to have an MVP caliber season this year. I think they'll make a deep playoff run. Jets, I have them going 10-7, and I have the Jets making a very huge improvement this season from last season. I agree with you on that. I think they're this year's sleeper team. I think they brought in a lot of really good pieces. I think Zach Wilson's going to make a year 2 leap. I think they're definitely poised to, if not make the playoffs, I think they'll be a good team this year. They'll be, maybe not make the playoffs, but I think that they'll make a huge improvement, and they'll have, something to build off of now. Patriots, I just don't see anything special with them. I mean, besides Bill Belichick, there's just nothing really special there. They have a good defense, like you said. They always have a good defense. So, I mean, that's going to be what wins them games this year. Mac Jones, I think he'll just kind of stay where he is. I don't see him going off or anything. Nothing too special there. And then I agree with the Dolphins. Honestly, the only reason I gave Dolphins 7-10 is because of Tyreek Hill.
Yeah.
I don't see anything else the Dolphins really have that's special besides Tyreek Hill.
All right. Just a little caveat before I go through all these predictions. I went on the app. We predict game by game. It's a website. I just looked up NFL season predictor, one game by game for each team. I don't know if I actually think these teams are going to go the record that they have. You'll see what I'm saying here in a little bit. But Bills winning the division 14-3. I mean, you all covered it.
Yeah.
They have one of the most complete rosters in the NFL. Top 3 quarterback in Josh Allen. Top 5 receiver Stephon Diggs. Their defense has the potential to be the best in the league going in this year with the return of Tre'Davious White. Their schedule is easy for the caliber of team that they are. They're poised to win a Super Bowl. If not now, then when? They're poised to win a Super Bowl.
This is pretty much
this little window that they're going to have the next 3 to 5 years. This is their chance, right?
Yeah.
Second division, I have Miami. I have Miami going 9-8. I think the jump that you all see Zach Wilson making, I see Tua making, personally. And I think the addition of Tyreek Hill has proven to be a top quality receiver. His speed is going to do wonders for that. You got Jalen Waddle on the other side. You got a running back by committee, which has worked well in the likes of San Francisco and other teams in the past. And their defense is still young. They've still got what's his name?
Xavier Howard.
Xavier Howard. Yeah. Defensive ends are decent. Offensive line's decent. Their schedule's
Their
favorable.
offensive line is not good, actually, right?
The Jets' O-line is better than Miami's.
Yeah.
Well, Miami had a bottom O-line, like a bottom half of the league O-line this year, didn't they?
Yeah,
Like, wasn't that like one of the bigger things?
I think they added some people.
They did add
yeah.
some people.
They hypothetically
they
fixed
added
it.
people.
They'll
Yeah.
probably have a decent.
Yeah.
I have the Patriots.
Yeah, they weren't great last
third in the
year.
division. I have them 7-10. It comes down to one thing. I don't see Mac Jones' ceiling as much higher than he was last year.
But, yeah.
And
I think we all agree.
Yeah.
I don't, and I think if they were in the NFC, they'd be closer to that like 9-10 win range. But the AFC is just so loaded that they're just not, like you all said, not a whole lot sticks out to them for me.
There's not much special.
I don't think they improved.
Yeah.
And the way they ended last year with the absolute demolition at Buffalo, I think Bill Belichick is getting to the point where he's about to like call it quits. Him and Robert Kraft have always had like a falling out. I don't see the Patriots making noticeable strides for improvement in the next few years. And then I have the Jets in fourth. I have them 3-14. This is what I said. I went game by game. I don't think they're going to be a typical 3-14 team. They are very young. They're very
Kind of
helpful.
like the Lions last year.
Yes, kind of like the Lions last year. They're going to be competitive in a ton of games. And I think Robert Saleh is a good head coach for what they're trying to do. It comes down to one thing. I don't think Zach Wilson is good. I think he's been overrated since he's been at BYU. I think he hasn't played the competition that other quarterbacks in his draft class have played. I don't think... I mean, I think Elijah Moore's good, but teams are going to be able to double team him if they really need to.
Wilson, though.
Garrett Wilson, we'll see. Garrett Wilson, he'll add a whole nother dynamic of the defense. I think their defense is still a little too young.
Yeah.
And that's where the big issue comes in. They added Sauce Gardner in the draft.
Yeah.
Their defensive tackles, their run defense is good. But I don't know. There's a lot of question marks with the Jets. They're super young. I think in a couple of years, like 2-3 years, they will be closer to that like 9, like what you said, 10-7. They're not going 10-7. I don't think they're going 10-7. I don't think they're going to be anywhere. I don't want to say anywhere near 10-7, but I don't think.
I just think they have such a. I mean, they have all the pieces on the offense. I think they have a great. They have two good, Michael Carter and Breece Hall.
I don't
they
like
have
Michael Carter personally.
Breece
Breece Hall has
bad.
been a stud.
Yeah,
Breece Hall is the RB1.
Yeah.
He'll be RB1.
But I mean, you got Garrett Wilson, Elijah Moore is a good receiver.
Yeah.
He's one of the better young receivers.
Their offensive line, I think their offensive line is solid.
Yeah,
They
do.
I agree that Zach Wilson is a bit of a question mark.
Yeah,
I just
do
don't
agree
think
with
he's
that.
good.
And Zach Wilson, in my opinion, is a bit of a question mark. But I think he will take a step forward this year, though. And I do agree. I don't think their defense really is. I think the Jets is really more offensive. Like they don't really have a lot of defensive pieces.
Yeah, that's where
they're
going to get scored on.
Oh, for sure. I just think that they have the offensive weapons to be able to keep up with those scores, though. Like because their firepower was all offense. They don't have any defense. So I mean, maybe 10-7 might be a bit much. I just see them kind of being a breakout team this year. Maybe not like the Bengals at all. People have been saying that. Not at all Bengals, but
But I see where you're coming from at that because, like I said, they could be like the Detroit Lions, where
they will be competitive. They will be competitive in almost all of their losses.
Yeah, like the Lions were one of the most exciting teams to watch, but they obviously had a pretty terrible record. But they had multiple games.
I think they also went 3-14 last year.
They did.
Yeah, but they had multiple games where they lost by like a field goal.
Yeah.
So I could see that happening, but I mean, like we're both banking on Zach Wilson having a big leap.
Yeah.
And I think that's
if
gonna
he
help
does
him a
it,
lot.
yes, I agree with that.
Here's the thing. Well, you said you referred to the Bengals and Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow in his rookie year before he got hurt showed promise.
Yeah.
Right?
He was on pace to win Rookie of the Year that year.
I did not see that with Zach Wilson at all.
I agree with that. I do
all.
agree with that.
He was nowhere near on the same level Joe Burrow was in his rookie year.
Okay, that's true,
all.
I guess, because the Bengals didn't really have a lot of pieces around him his rookie year.
They had a very similar
It was a similar situation,
right?
But I also think coming into the NFL, Joe Burrow was already a better quarterback than Zach Wilson was.
But yeah, that's.
But I do like So when Zach Wilson got drafted, I thought he was overrated. In this whole season, I thought he was overrated. But as like the off seasons progressed, and I've kind of seen how the Jets have like shaped their team, I'm starting to buy into some of the Zach Wilson hype a little bit more.
I would not be surprised if they win 6 games. If they go 6,
I think
if they win 6 or 7 games.
6
but
or 7.
Like you have them 9-8. You have them 10-7.
I mean, they won 4 games last year, so even if a 6-game season is a 2-game improvement, which is still solid.
Yeah.
But I like. So they in the offseason, they obviously added like the rookies we said with Gardner Wilson. They also drafted Jermaine Johnson, who was one of the bigger sleepers in that draft, and Breece Hall, all 4 A+ picks. Then they signed Uzama from the Bengals. Then they got Lincoln Tomlinson, who will help their offensive line.
Hypothetically,
Potentially, yeah. They re-signed a lot of their players. And then they got DJ Reed, who's a solid corner from the Seahawks. So I think they have a decent.
They're
team.
doing things the right way.
Yeah, they're heading in the right direction.
They have,
Is their breakout season going to be this year? I think so, but
I think it does depend on
maybe
Zach
not.
Wilson.
It's entirely on Zach Wilson.
If
I just don't buy into it.
If Zach Wilson is what they think he is
what they drafted him for.
Then I think
another
this
thing.
is their time.
The
to
Jets
break out.
have a historically awful record of developing quarterbacks.
That is true.
Well, yeah, Joe Namath,
Most overrated quarterback in NFL history. He's known for 1 game.
Broadway Joe.
He's got the swag, but
also,
he's known for 1 game.
The Jets head coaches the last couple of years have been really bad. I think this is the best.
Yes.
This is the best coach they've had in a couple.
In a decent.
Because didn't Adam Gase wasn't he?
Adam Gase was the Jets coach for a year or 2 when they had Sam Darnold.
Yeah, jeez. Adam Gase is one of the worst coaches ever.
Yeah, you're right about that. They don't normally.
They don't develop quarterbacks at all. Like, their best quarterback is Chad Pennington.
They kind of suck at drafting quarterbacks, though, because Sam Darnold is not good.
Coming out of college, though, it was the right selection. He just didn't.
You think so?
I mean,
I never even thought he was that great in college.
He was really hyped up.
He didn't. I don't think he didn't really impress me in college as much as other quarterbacks in his draft class did. But in terms of like the physicals of what you want, like he was that guy. He was by far and away the best quarterback prospect in that draft. With Baker Mayfield, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Josh Rosen. I think that was the 5, right? It was him, and then the 4 I just listed. I feel like I'm missing one.
2 of those 5 you said are miles better than Sam Darnold.
What, Lamar Jackson and
Josh Allen?
Yeah.
Well, all of them except Josh Rosen.
Josh Rosen is not good at all.
But coming out of college, Josh Rosen was supposed to be that guy.
I don't really think. I personally think if Zach Wilson would have went to a team that has a history of developing quarterbacks, like I can't think off the top of my head what his draft picks were at the time. But if they went to a team that has a better history of developing quarterbacks, I don't think Sam Darnold would have been like a world beater. But if he could have had a better surrounding situation his first few years, he would have been better than what he is, personally.
I mean, he could have been. He could have been average.
Yeah, the quality of the quarterback depends so much on the system around you, unless you have Patrick Mahomes as your quarterback.
Or Josh Allen.
Yeah, or a transcendent superstar like them.
Yeah.
So, Nick, I have a question for you. So you said that you see like Tua having the sort of leap that we're expecting, like Zach Wilson.
Right.
Can you tell me like why?
I just don't think he's had the weapons that he does now. Like, there's no excuse for him anymore. He's got Tyreek Hill. He's got another year of Jalen Waddle. And the head coach they hired from the what was it? Was it the Vikings or the 49ers? 49ers. Offensive minded. Incredibly offensive minded. Right. He should do wonders to explode that offense.
Yeah.
If he doesn't, it's a failed hire. Personally.
I'm just not really that high on Tua. I think Tua is like, I think he's maybe like right in the middle of the pack, or maybe like slightly above average of like. Okay, you take all 32 starting quarterbacks. Like, I would put Tua maybe right in the middle, or maybe 16. Right above right in the middle.
Yeah.
Like I don't know if Tua like really is that guy though.
I just think Tua's a bit of an unknown.
Yeah,
because we've seen
such a question.
All of last year, if you look at like the stats, like he didn't throw the deep ball at all, and if he did, it wasn't accurate at all. Mm-hmm. And the they just traded for the best deep ball receiver in the league. So, but we've seen in like practice tape or whatever that he's thrown it like that. But quarterbacks are expected to make those types of plays.
And if you're an NFL caliber quarterback, you will make that throw.
I think I think like I agree with you. Say that Tua is like middle of the pack, if not a little bit above. But I just think he has a lot. He has a lot of question marks. Yeah. And I don't know if I'm fully ready to
really personally like.
But I do like what you said about if he doesn't do it now, then like when is he ever going to do it?
Right,
Because
he has no more excuses.
He has the talent to do it. I just don't trust Tua.
If it's not now, it's time to get a new quarterback.
Yeah, there's a reason why they wanted to get Deshaun Watson.
Yeah,
it's true.
Before all, it was already known, but there's a reason why the Dolphins went after Deshaun Watson.
Yeah.
I think that the system that the 49ers head coach implemented when he was in San Francisco, there's a reason they went to the Super Bowl with Jimmy Garoppolo as their quarterback.
Now that, I do kind of believe that, though.
Yeah,
I forgot they had that guy,
Yeah,
honestly.
they got him. And
what did you have them going?
I had them going 10-7.
The Dolphins?
The Dolphins.
Okay.
Really? I thought it was 7-10.
Or I meant 7-10,
Okay.
my bad. I flipped them.
That's what
7-10. But
you had them going
9-8.
I forgot that they...
Yeah.
I forgot they hired
I'm not
that
saying
guy.
the Dolphins are going to go like 12-5.
No, yeah,
no,
no.
that's not going to happen.
I think 7-10
I was
is
just curious about your reasoning and why you thought Tua was going to be.
Yeah, I think if I've seen interviews with their new head coach, you can tell that he's got
Yeah, he's a good dude.
the players like
he's a good
moxie. He's implementing what he wants to do.
Which that might...
I think that'll help him.
That might help them.
It better help them.
running that offense.
Yeah.
Because if he runs that offense and takes Jimmy Garoppolo to the Super Bowl, Tua is better than Jimmy Garoppolo.
Yes, Tua is better than Jimmy G.
So that might...
I don't know about right now, but the ceiling of Tua is much better than Jimmy G.
Yeah, for sure.
Also, one thing to note is, I think that the Dolphins have a moderately harder schedule. They play teams like the Patriots, Bills, Ravens. Their first 4 games are Patriots, Ravens, Bills, and Bengals. So that's
3 of those 4 are tough.
I do
so
think
that's kind of a tough. And then later they play the Chargers, and then the 49ers and the Packers. So
and they play the Bills twice.
That's why I think strength of schedule also plays into
I
that, because they have kind of a tougher schedule.
I think if I recall, I have them going under 500 until towards the end of the year, and then they go on a little bit of a run.
Yeah, which is what they did last year. Last
they
year
win
they were
3 or 4 games in a row.
Last year they were 0 something. Yeah, and then they won 7 or 8 in a row.
Yeah.
They completely flipped their season.
True.
So they could ride that.
Yeah.
But we're all in this close vicinity. We think they're gonna
7 to 9 wins.
Yeah, we think. Yeah,
Middle of the pack team.
Yeah.
they'll be a middle of the pack team. All right. Moving on to the AFC North, I have the Cincinnati Bengals winning the division, going 11-6. Then I have the Baltimore Ravens second, being 10-7. Cleveland Browns 7-10, and the Pittsburgh Steelers at 5-12. Cincinnati Bengals just came off a Super Bowl run. I think they got better. They improved the offensive line tremendously. I think that's going to go a long way. Jamar Chase's second season. We'll see if he... I'm assuming he'll keep up the same... He'll still be a great receiver. Burrow, I think he's going to be really good again. We'll see. I don't think this appendix injury is going to really hinder him at all. He'll just miss some training camp.
Yeah.
And then I think they... we'll see if Jesse Bates plays. I don't know if that's going to happen, but I still think if he doesn't play, they drafted, like we've talked about numerous times, multiple safeties, and I think Dax Hill in training camp's been pretty impressive. So I think they're poised not to make another Super Bowl run, but they're poised to have another great season and be a great team. Baltimore Ravens, the only reason they weren't good last year is health.
Yeah.
Lamar Jackson was hurt. They lost both their running backs. Their starting corner was hurt. Lamar Jackson will be fully healthy this year, hopefully. And everyone's doubting him, and I think that's going to be a fire in him, and I think he's going to have a great season. Plus, I loved their draft. I think they absolutely nailed it. I gave them an A+ grade. I think that's going to help them a lot. J.K. Dobbins is going to come back. We'll see how good he is after. My only concern with them is their receiving core. Their receiving core took a hit after they traded Marquise Brown. Their best receiver is Rashad Bateman, and a lot of people are thinking that he's going to kind of be their wide receiver 1, which I think he will. But that would be my only concern is their receiving core. So that's why I don't have them winning the division, but I still have them being very competitive at 10-7. Cleveland Browns 7-10. We talked about it earlier. Deshaun Watson is at least going to be suspended for the first 6 games. So that means that Jacoby Brissett will be the starting quarterback after they traded Baker. If you look at those first 6 games, none of them are really that difficult. So
Their first 6 games are incredibly easy.
yeah, so I think
Compared to the rest of
the Browns,
Except the Chargers.
Yeah,
yeah, so I think the Browns should win a majority of those. Like we've talked about how they obviously still have Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, who are one of the better running back duos. They have Myles Garrett still.
Top 5 O-line in the league.
Yeah, top 5 O-line. They have Denzel Ward. They have good pieces. But like I've mentioned before, I just don't trust their receiving core. And with Deshaun Watson's playing up in the air, we'll see what happens with that. I just don't think that they're going to have that great of a season. I mean, I think 7 wins is all right, but I don't think they're going to do anything crazy. The Pittsburgh Steelers, I have them at 5-12. I think they're going to be pretty bad. They lost Big Ben, and now they're having a quarterback competition with Mitchell Trubisky and Kenny Pickett, who I'm not high on either of them. Najee Harris is going to be their focal point on offense, and they're more than likely going to run the ball every other play. Chase Claypool, we'll see if he can kind of bounce back after a disappointing season last year. George Pickens, he's been really good in training camp, and he'll probably be a good addition. They still have Cam Hayward on defense, so they still have a solid defense. I just think the offense is going to be what really hurts them because, I mean, you have to have a good quarterback to win games, and I just don't think they have a good enough quarterback to win them a lot of games, so I have them going 5-12 losing.
I think I'll start on this division. I have the Ravens winning division at 12-5. Like you said, the only reason that they even went 8-9, what was it, 8-9 last year? I think it was 8-9. The only reason they went 8-9 was because of their health. They got absolutely decimated from top to bottom from before the season started when J.K. Dobbins tore his ACL to like the last week of the year where a couple of their backup like corners went down for the game against the Steelers. I think Lamar Jackson is better than most people give him credit for. Every single time people have doubted him, he's proven them wrong. Can't win a playoff game, won one the next year. Can't win MVP, won one the next year. All he's done since he started was win. All he's done since he started was win. I think their schedule is slightly easier than Cincinnati's, which is why I have them winning the division. And like you said, they knocked the draft out of the park. They traded Marquise Brown. Did they get? They got Tyler Linderbaum out of that. Kyle Hamilton in the draft, A+ pick. A few other really good depth pieces. Like you said, the only issue, receiving core. I also think their defense, apart from the likes of Kyle Hamilton, is getting a little bit old.
Yeah, because Calais Campbell.
Yeah,
still, right?
their drop off wasn't.
Don't they have a rookie corner or a second-year corner
Probably.
or a younger corner?
They might, but Kyle Hamilton's a big one. And apart from that other corner, their defense is old, but I haven't seen the significant drop off yet. So I think because of their slightly easier schedule, I think they will take the division. I have the Bengals in second. I also have them going 11-6. That being said, I could just as easily see them miss the playoffs with how stacked the AFC is. Because the wild card teams are going to go at worst 10-7 with how loaded the AFC is from top to bottom, right? And like one injury to the likes of Joe Burrow. I mean, I don't want to say Joe Burrow is going to get hurt again, but even like Joe Mixon or Jamar Chase completely changes the dynamic of that entire team. If Jesse Bates thing's a big question, will Trey Hendrickson put up the same impact that he has in the past couple years with the Saints and the Bengals? Their secondary is still a question mark. Their linebackers aren't great. I think they're going to be a similar team with a tougher schedule, personally. I do see a majority of their players getting better because they are so young. Will they put up similar production? I don't know. But like 11-6 is an improvement from what they won in the regular season last year.
Yeah, for sure.
I just don't have them winning the division because, like I said, I think the Ravens are going to be healthy. I think they have an easier schedule. I think I have them splitting with the Bengals. So I think the Bengals' tougher schedule is just going to factor in maybe towards the end. I have the Browns in third at 8-9. Their roster is fantastic. And this prediction is assuming Deshaun Watson does not play a single game this year.
Okay.
If he does not play a single game this year, I have them going 8-9. If he plays 12 or more games, my prediction is wildly different. Because, like I've said in the past, I think Deshaun Watson is unbelievable in terms of playing a quarterback position in the NFL. I don't think the receiving core is as big of an issue as y'all have said it is. They got Amari Cooper is still like a very good a very serviceable wide receiver one. There's a reason that the Browns wanted him so bad when Dallas refused to pay him. They traded, what, a 6th-round pick for him?
Yes.
As long as they have Amari Cooper, I think they'll be okay. And they're not going to be a pass-first team. Like, their running backs with Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt, and De'Aaron Johnson, they re-signed him behind that top 5 offensive line in the NFL, is going to win them 4 games alone. And like you said, the beginning of the schedule is incredibly easy. Like, with or without Deshaun Watson, they play the likes of, the Falcons, the Steelers, the Patriots, the Jets.
Yeah,
like, they should win 3 or 4 of those games even without Deshaun Watson. When I say wildly different, I mean playoffs, because Deshaun Watson has that experience in the playoffs. And then I have the Steelers at 6-11. This prediction is generous. They have arguably the worst quarterback situation in the entire NFL with Kenny Pickett and Mitch Trubisky. They have a bottom 10 offensive line in the NFL. Najee Harris is basically their entire offense. Their receiving core with Chase Claypool. Deontay Johnson's good, but Chase Claypool has underwhelmed.
Deontay Johnson.
Yeah, Chase Claypool has underwhelmed since his rookie year. Is this his 3rd year?
Yeah,
Okay, so not that long since his rookie year, but he was incredibly under. Yeah,
he was.
And who's going to be getting him the ball, right?
Yeah,
It doesn't matter how good receivers are.
Mitch Trubisky is not a good quarterback. Kenny Pickett is not. I don't think he's going to come in and be the second coming of Dan Marino in his rookie year. I just don't think that's going to happen. And their defense has some good pieces, like of Minka Fitzpatrick, Cam Hayward. You forgot T.J. Watt.
Oh, I did forget.
You forgot T.J. Watt. You forgot the defensive
I was
player of the
focusing
year.
more on the offense. I literally had. Yeah.
That being said, their defense
is good.
as a whole was still not good.
Yeah.
Their defense.
They have a couple of pieces here and there, but they really
good
aren't.
as a whole, their defense was not good last year. And while their defense could make the jump in year 2, I just don't see it happening. I don't see a whole lot of promise outside of the likes of obviously like T.J. Watt, Cam Hayward's getting up there, Minka Fitzpatrick has.
Cam Hayward's like 35.
Yeah, Cam Hayward.
still a beast.
Props to him.
Yeah,
He's still
but-
putting up elite production at his age.
Yeah, he is,
But he's still like getting up there. And like, here's the thing: the Steelers could very well win 7 or 8 games because they have Mike Tomlin as their head coach.
Yeah, that's also.
They could be in the playoff hunt until week like 17 or 18. They made the playoffs last year with Ben Roethlisberger's like corpse.
Yes,
as their quarterback. Like they develop. They have a culture there that's one of the few things I respect about that team. They have a culture there that's been tried and tested since the 70s. There's a reason why they've won the most amount of Super Bowls, tied most. But there's too many holes with this team. And like I said, their defense, even though they have the pieces, was just bad. I think they finished like 25th in total defense.
Probably around that.
Yeah.
Their defense was not good.
Their defense was not good last year. Joe Burrow and the likes of other teams torched them.
Oh, yeah.
Last year. And like their 9 wins, if you look at their wins, they won by 3 points at home in overtime against the Seahawks without Russell Wilson.
Then they tied with the.
They tied with the Lions when they were still winless.
Yep.
Which I get. We said that the Lions were like one of the more exciting teams to watch last year.
They were still bad.
Yeah, they were still not a good football team.
No, they were bad.
And then all of their losses, a vast majority of their losses, they got destroyed. Like the Chiefs game, for example, the second Bengals game, the first Bengals game. I get they only lost by I think it was 9. I think they lost
No,
23.
the first Bengals game was like a 3 or 6 point game or something. Like, I mean, on the scoreboard, but like the Bengals took
control of that game.
Yeah.
I just don't think they're there right now, personally. But as Pittsburgh has done, they prove everyone wrong.
Yep.
So we'll see what happens with them.
All right, so I'll keep mine short because you guys pretty much hit everything already for each team. But
Yeah, we went on for a while.
yeah. So I have the Bengals going winning the division, going 11-6. That's 1 game better than last year. I think they have the best young roster in the NFL. I think all of them are going to take a step forward this year. My only question with the Bengals is still, once again, did they really fix the offensive line?
Yeah.
On paper, they did. We'll see when it comes game time. As long as they stay healthy, I see them being a deep playoff contending team still this year. Jesse Bates, I don't think Jesse Bates is that huge of a deal. I think Dax Hill is going to come in and play well. He's been playing well in camp, I've heard. All right. I see Ravens going 10-7, being very close second. I have them splitting with the Bengals. And I actually have, and I know you mentioned the Bengals' strength of schedule, but I have the Bengals, kind of catching fire at the end of the season, riding it. They play the Ravens week 18, and
That game could decide the division.
I have the Bengals winning that game, and that is the deciding game of the division. So I have the Ravens right there because, like you guys said, the only reason they weren't good last year is because of all their injuries. They nailed the draft. They got picks in the draft that I was very jealous of. They had a very good. They arguably had the best draft in the NFL this year.
Yeah,
so
they knocked it out of the park.
Yeah, so the Ravens, I have them going 10-7, losing Week 18 to the Bengals of the division tying or deciding game. Browns, I have going 7-10, and I did incorporate. And I thought a little bit about Deshaun Watson playing. I still see him 7-10. I just don't think their receiving core is not good in my opinion. They do have, and this I could be very wrong about this because they do have a very good defense and they have a top 5 O-line. They have
running back core in the league.
Yeah, I was going to say arguably the best running back core in the league, and they are a run first team. So even with or without Deshaun Watson, they still are going to win, at least 7 games. I think 7-10 is a little bit of a down play to that.
They'll be better than a typical 7-10 team.
Yeah, if they go 7-10, they are better than I could see them winning 8 or 9 maybe, but I still see them being middle of the pack. Maybe not even playoffs. I don't think. Steelers, I have going 4-13. So I have the Steelers being completely terrible. I have them having a top 5 pick this year. I think, and you guys have hit on all of this, they have a couple of bright spots on their defense. TJ Watt obviously is one of the best defensive players in the league. Cam Hayward is a fossil, but he's still playing well. Minkah Fitzpatrick is one of the best safeties in the league. Okay, that's great, but their defense still sucks. They have 3 good pieces, but other than that, they're terrible. Offense, Kenny Pickett is not a good quarterback. Mitchell Trubisky is not a good quarterback. Their quarterback room is the worst quarterback room in the NFL. Who's worse?
Seahawks exist.
Shoot, I forgot the Seahawks.
Yeah, Seahawks exist. They're up there, though.
I would say the Steelers definitely battle for that worst spot with the Seahawks, though. I mean, it's like 1A, 1B there. I mean, their quarterback room is god-awful. Their whole offense is Najee Harris. They have nothing else. I mean, they have
receivers are okay.
They have pieces at receiver. Deontay Johnson's good. George Pickens, I've been hearing, has been doing well. Chase Claypool is a question mark, in my opinion. Maybe, I don't know. So I would say their receiver room is solid, but what does it matter if you have 2 of the worst quarterbacks in the league?
Yeah, who's getting in the ball?
And their offensive line is nothing to write home about at all.
Yeah.
Their whole offense is their running back, and he is behind the battle line.
Yeah.
So I see the Steelers being terrible. 4-13. The only reason it was hard for me to put them at 4-13 is Mike Tomlin. Yeah. They've never had a losing season since 2003 under Mike Tomlin, and somehow, with an ancient Big Ben, they made the playoffs last year. Somehow. I have no idea how they made the playoffs last year, but they did it. And it's all because of the culture and all because of Mike Tomlin. Yeah. So this 4-13 was kind of hard for me to predict that just because of that. But either way, they're horrible.
Yeah. So. One more thing. You all obviously have the Bengals winning the division. I have the Ravens.
Yeah.
I say this. I could easily see the Bengals winning the Super Bowl. Like, they're a Super Bowl contender. If their offensive line comes out and performs, they don't even have to be fantastic.
They just need to be serviceable.
They just have to be. They need to give Joe Burrow more than 2 seconds before he has to run.
Yeah.
And that's what I was saying. That's why I have the Bengals 11-6, and I have them winning the division. By that Week 18 game between the Ravens.
It's in Cincinnati, isn't it?
It is in Cincinnati.
Okay.
I do think that's like a realistic possibility to happen.
I
where
think,
that final Week 18 game is like make or break.
I think it's Ravens-Bengals are right there. The winner of that Week 18 game wins the division. And I have the Bengals edging them at Paul Brown Stadium. But it's like I said, their offensive line is really the only question with that team. They're bringing back everybody except for Ogunjobi and Bates.
Yeah, they fixed that. They're going to be hard to beat.
Uzomah, but
still.
They fixed all of those positions. Dax Hill has been turning heads at camp, from what I've heard.
And then we
got B.J. Hill back. I mean, the Bengals have a very good defensive line, even without Larry Ogunjobi. They're a good defensive line.
And Joseph Osai's coming back.
Joseph Osai's back off a torn pec or a knee injury, something like that. And
significant.
Hayden Hurst,
He's been doing really
I could
well.
very well see Hayden Hurst being a pretty good amount better than C.J. Uzomah.
Yeah, I've heard he's been doing really
C.J.
well.
Uzomah had like 1 or 2 good games.
Yeah, so I mean, I could see Hayden Hurst being better than C.J. Uzomah.
Yeah.
So, and I mean, the only thing with them is
The only major hole on that team is their offensive line.
Yes,
their
and
linebackers could be better, but like
Logan Wilson's a stud.
he's a good,
but he's really the only.
Other than that.
But yeah, the only hole on this team was the offensive line, and on paper they fixed it.
Yeah.
That's why I say on paper, and it's still a question mark. So if they really did fix it, then I think they legitimately could win the Super Bowl.
They could win their Super Bowl contender. I
Yeah.
also think that it's John Harbaugh. John Harbaugh's a better head coach than Zach Taylor. Yeah, personally,
I agree with that.
Yeah, which is why I think the Ravens, if it comes to nitty gritty crunch time, you need someone like a John Harbaugh.
However, Zach Taylor is definitely no slouch.
He's not.
But
Jim Harbaugh's a top 5 head coach in the league.
Jim Harbaugh's.
I agree. Jim Harbaugh is a very good head coach, but also
Is it Jim or John?
It's John Harbaugh.
John
Jim Harbaugh.
Jim
Jim Harbaugh's living rent free in our heads right now.
We don't like Jim Harbaugh.
But no, yeah, I think he is a great coach, but I see the Bengals catching fire at the end of the season. I actually have them beating the Bills at Paul Brown Stadium in a very close game.
Bold take.
That would be a good game.
I have that
yeah.
being a very, very close game. So I have them beating the Bills, and I have them riding the wave going into a division-deciding game. Joe Burrow does not lose big games.
If that happens, Paul Brown Stadium's going to be rocking.
That's what I'm saying. And I have the Bengals edging the Ravens. It's a close game. I have them edging them, and I have them taking the division because of that game.
Yeah.
And I say Joe Burrow, the only big game so far that he's played in the NFL that he's lost is the Super Bowl.
And they
were
They very easily could have won that game.
3 seconds away from
So
losing.
that's why I say Joe Burrow does not lose big games.
I agree with everything you guys just said.
It's going to be interesting.
I feel like
I'm
I
really-
can't wait to watch it.
I'm really excited for that, that 2-3 week stretch there because I could very well see that happening. Even if the Bengals don't beat the Bills in week 17, that week 18 Ravens Bengals game at the Bengals I could very easily see that being the deciding game. Of the
I
division.
don't think crowd matters as much in the NFL as it does in like college and other.
Yeah, but it's still a factor.
It's still a factor, which
And
is why I could see that
and
happen.
even if it's not the crowd, it's just the fact that you're playing at your place. And it's that big of a game at your place.
I have no disagreements with anything you guys said, though. I agree with that a little bit. All right, let's move on to the AFC South.
Should I start this?
Do you want to start?
I'm
You
gonna
go
start
for
this.
it.
Yeah,
All right.
all right. You're the Colts.
Here we go. All right, so no surprise, I have the Colts winning the division. Okay, 11-6.
Really?
Yes. The Colts.
I would have never guessed.
You think so? Here's the thing, though. You all take me as like a biased Colts fan. In the past, when their team has been like Andrew Luck, T.Y. Hilton, and everyone else, I don't have them making the playoffs, right? Yeah. The roster that Chris Ballard has built is one of the best in the league, apart from like quarterback and wide receivers, which is 2 massive parts, right? But here's the thing: I have them 11-6. I don't know if they're going to be like. I also have the Bengals going in 11-6. I don't think they're on the same caliber of team.
I think
personally,
if they both go 11-6, the Bengals are a better 11-6 team.
Yes. I think it matters a lot with the division that they play in. Their schedule is also very easy for being an AFC
They have
team.
the 5th ranked.
Schedule. Their schedule is
Which
very
is crazy
easy.
for an AFC team.
Yeah, it's so easy for being an AFC team. I think they have the best quarterback in the division in Matt Ryan. I think they have arguably the best running back in the division in Jonathan Taylor, and a top 2 running back in the league. They have the best. I think they have the best offensive line in the division. I think they have the best defense in the division. I think they have the best head coach in the division, and arguably the best special teams in the division.
Okay. All right. There's a lot
If
there.
not
There's a
now,
lot there.
then when?
Yeah, I guess.
Matt Ryan is better than Ryan Tannehill. He's better than Ryan Tannehill. You all saw
all right. In
depends on what Ryan
your
Tannehill
defense, Matt Ryan was an MVP.
Yes, not like 5
In his
years
prime.
ago.
In his prime. I don't think he's quite in his prime anymore.
Yeah.
But I mean, there aren't really any great quarterbacks in this division.
When's the last time he's played behind an O-line like this? When's the last time he's played with a back like Jonathan Taylor?
I know. I'm just saying. I just don't see Matt Ryan at quite that same caliber. But I also do think that this division really doesn't have good quarterbacks.
Yes. And also they're a run-first team.
Yeah,
It's
so that's
Jonathan Taylor.
That's going to help him.
If Jonathan Taylor goes down, we're going 6-11. That's just what's going to happen, right? Their defense forced, I think it was the second most turnovers in the league last year. And if you look at the Colts' schedule and who they beat, like the first 5 weeks of the year, they lost. I think they started 1-4 last year. They were so injured on the offensive line. Carson Wentz didn't have a full season or full offseason to practice with the team because he was dealing with a foot injury. So was Quentin Nelson. Jonathan Taylor wasn't getting nearly the amount of touches that he should have been getting. And then you look at the teams they beat. They went to Arizona, beat the Cardinals with basically no O-line. They beat the Patriots at home. And then they lost to the Rams when they were injured by 3. The Rams won the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So, like...
And keep in mind, they started winning these games when they gave their best player the ball.
Yes.
Like,
if they... Like, Frank Reich irritates me so much sometimes, but it could be a lot worse as far as a head coach in the league. Second place, I think I have... Let me see. I think I have the Titans. I think they're 9-8.
If you don't, then I would just be...
Titans 9-8. Titans 9-8. My main thing for the Titans is I don't think they improved at all. Derrick Henry's Derrick Henry's still going to be a stud, but he's coming off a foot injury. We don't know how he's not going to put up the same level of production as he did in the past. They lost AJ Brown, Treylon Burks. I like him a lot. But I don't know if he's going to have the impact that A.J. Brown has. I think Ryan Tannehill is not a good quarterback. You all saw firsthand. He threw 4 picks in the playoff game against the Bengals. Was it 3? Did he have 4 turnovers? I think he got stripped.
he might have had a fumble, but it was 3 picks.
But he just didn't play well, right? Their defense, their front 7 is decent. The rest of it is not great at all. Their special teams is not fantastic. I just don't see anything that stands out of them apart from Derrick Henry, personally. And their schedule's harder than the Colts because they finished first. Colts finished second. I just don't see anything special with them personally. They'll be a fringe playoff team. They'll be 1 game back, but you all have said numerous times they're the worst number 1 seed in NFL history.
Yeah,
you all have third place. I have the Jaguars. I have them 8-9, personally. Like you all said that the Jets were the sleeper team that you all had earlier. I think Jacksonville is. It would not shock me at all if Trevor Lawrence came in, performed miles better than what he did his rookie year, and the Jaguars won 8-9 games and were a playoff contender. Like, point blank period. I think that Trevor Lawrence... He was the number 1 overall pick. He's a generational talent for a reason. Okay? They brought in... I get they messed up the receiving market for every single team in the NFL when they paid Christian Kirk $87 million, right? But they've brought in proven, decent receivers. Doug Peterson comes in as their head coach.
I like that.
He won a Super Bowl. You can debate on whether he was the reason they won the Super Bowl, but he's still a Super Bowl winning head coach.
Yeah.
Urban Meyer was arguably the worst head coach in NFL history, and it pains me to say that. Doug Peterson is miles better than Urban Meyer was.
It's not even a question.
Yeah. Trevor Lawrence is going to come in, and we've all seen Trevor Lawrence play. Trevor Lawrence is absolutely the real deal in terms of a prospect. You get Travis Etienne back. Depends on if they're going to use James Robinson more or not, but if they do, they've got a decent 1-2 punch at running back. Their schedule is obviously incredibly easy, kind of like the Bengals was last year because they play in the AFC South. But it's riding on Trevor Lawrence. If Trevor Lawrence does not improve, they're going to go 4-13. Personally, I think he's going to improve a lot. Like you all say, Zach Wilson's going to make the leap because of the weapons you have around him. I think Trevor Lawrence is going to do that just because he's Trevor Lawrence. And he's got 2 years of development under his league. And then 4th place, I have the Texans, 3-14. There's not a whole lot to say. There's not much to say with that team. They're just not good when it comes to anything. So yeah, that covers it.
So I'll go now. I got the I got the Colts winning the division. I have them going 10-7.
Okay.
I think I basically what you said. I mean, Jonathan Taylor is I think going to be the best running back in the NFL this year. Matt Ryan is an upgrade from Carson Wentz. Receiver room, I don't think is that bad.
Michael Pittman's good.
Michael Pittman's good. They definitely have one of the better offensive lines in the league. Defense is probably the best in that division.
Added Stephon Gilmore.
Just added Stephon Gilmore. Yeah. So, I mean...
And he
really,
added Ngakwe.
Yeah. Really, I think it's Jonathan Taylor a lot. I think Jonathan Taylor's really going to carry him. I think they have good pieces around him, but I think Jonathan... I think Jonathan Taylor is really freaking good.
Yeah.
So I have 10-7 winning the division. I have the Titans second at 9-8. For a lot of the same reasons that you said, I don't really see much special with the Titans. Outside of Derrick Henry, I don't think there's much else there. I think they have a solid line. I think Derrick Henry will end up being, probably the second best running back in the league this year. I think he's going to cool off a little bit from what he did last year. He's absolutely not going to do what he did last year, where he's out.
Last healthy season, yeah.
Yeah, like he won't do what he did last year, where he gets injured and 2 weeks later he's still leading the league in rushing.
Yeah.
That will not
That
happen.
was ridiculous.
That he will not be that good this year. I think he is going to be the second best in the league, but he's not going to be that good. Historically speaking, running backs that are around his age, 27, 28 years old, the next season coming back off of a pretty major injury, they take a step back. So I see Derrick Henry still being very good, but with him being the only bright spot of that team outside of their solid D-line, I see them taking a step back, going 9-8, second in the division. I see the Jags. I agree with everything you said about the Jags. I have the Jags going 8-9. And I think, like we said, the Jets, you say that we have the Jets being the breakout team. Well, I have the Jags being a pretty breakout team, too, because I like Trevor Lawrence a lot, too. I think Trevor Lawrence is a good quarterback. I don't know if I'm going to say he's a generational talent.
Generational prospect, yeah.
I mean, he was, but just compared to the other guys his age in the NFL, he's not quite there. He's not a Joe Burrow, I think he is very good though. I think Trevor Lawrence is going to take a huge step up. He is a very good quarterback, and I think they, besides receiver wise, besides them profusely overpaying Christian Kirk, who was a mid-tier receiver. They got good pieces. James Robinson and Travis Etienne is a very good backfield. I think this team really does rest on Trevor Lawrence, though, because besides him, Etienne, Robinson, Christian Kirk's solid. Laviska Shenault, I think, is solid.
Yeah.
But outside of those guys, I'm really not sure. Josh Allen on defense, he's a good linebacker.
Brandon Scherf.
Yeah, they got him on the line. But, I mean, honestly, though, outside of Trevor Lawrence, those guys are solid pieces, but they aren't, superstars, I don't think. So I think Trevor Lawrence is going to take a huge step up, and I think he's going to be the face of that team, and he's going to carry them. I do see the Jags being 8-9 and being a huge improvement, and that's something that they can continue to improve on in the future. I see the Texans going 3-13 as well. I actually have the Texans having the first overall pick. I see them being the worst team in the league this year. They have literally nothing at any position. They have absolutely nothing. So there's not much else to say there.
Davis Mills is the bright spot of that team, and that's saying a lot.
Yeah, I see the Texans having the first overall pick this year, and I see him taking Bryce Young.
Yeah.
Because, Davis Mills is the bright spot of that team, and he is, at best, a backup quarterback for most teams. So the Texans are completely god-awful. They have nothing at all. 3-13.
Yeah, 14.
14.
I agree with everything both of you guys said, so I'm just going to give my predictions. So I have Colts at 10-7 winning the division, Titans at second at 9-8, Jags third at 7-10, and Texans at 3-14. And you guys pretty much said everything I was going to say.
Yeah.
So. All right, well, I'll start with this one since I didn't really say much last time. AFC West.
This is a good one.
Gonna get
This is a good one.
This is the best division in football.
This is arguably the best division in NFL history, top to bottom. It's up there with the 80s NFC East.
Yeah, it's pretty stacked.
It could be.
So I have the Chiefs. Sorry, I'm looking at this weird. I have the Chargers winning. I have them going 13-4.
Chiefs 11-6, and second place. Third place, Denver Broncos 11-6, and fourth place, the Raiders with 10-7. I think the Chiefs losing Tyreek Hill is obviously huge, but I think Patrick Mahomes can get it done because he's just that good. Chargers, I think Josh Herbert is an amazing talent.
Josh Herbert.
Justin Herbert, sorry, I'm all over the place. Justin Herbert is one of the best quarterbacks in the league. I mean, they brought back Michael Thomas. They still have Keenan Allen, Austin Eckler. They brought in Khalil Mack. They just upgraded a lot, and I think they're a team to be reckoned with for sure. Denver Broncos obviously made one of the bigger signings or bigger trades in the offseason, getting Russell Wilson, and I absolutely love their team. I love Javonte Williams. I think Cortland Sutton's a good receiver. I think Jerry Jeudy's going to have a breakout year, but one thing that does suck is Tim Patrick just tore his ACL, which is going to hurt them a lot.
Yeah.
I think Alberto is going to be really good as a starting tight end, and I like their offensive line, very young. I think they're going to be an offensive powerhouse, and I think they'll be tied with the Chiefs there at 11-6. The Raiders at 10-7. 10-7 is still really good, and you wouldn't think that would be the last in the division, but that's just how good this division is. Derek Carr thinks he's going to have a pretty good season because he has Devontae Adams now.
That's a massive.
Yeah, I think he's going to have arguably his best season he's ever had because if you look at his weapons, Devontae Adams, Hunter Renfrow, and Darren Waller, not much else you really need. And plus they have Josh Jacobs in the backfield who can catch the ball a little bit. We'll see how his protection does. Plus they got Chandler Jones, which I like that pickup. I mean, it's just a great division. The only reason I just have the Raiders in there is just because they're just playing hard people. Yeah. But overall, great division, all great teams, all have a legitimate shot at making the playoffs.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, I'll take. I got the Chargers winning the division as well. I have them going 12-5. I like the Chargers. I like the team they have. I don't really see a lot of holes on their team. I think they've done a very good job in the offseason this year. You know, bringing in Khalil Mack, and they brought in that corner from the Patriots,
J.C.
Jackson.
Yeah.
J.C. Jackson. They brought J.C. Jackson in, so I think they've done a lot of good things to help their defense improve. Offensively, they didn't really bring anybody in offensively, but they didn't need to. They had everyone coming back. Offensive line, they got a good, solid offensive line. Rashawn Slater, the stud. Justin Herbert. Well, let me save that for the end. I got Austin Eckler is a monster. Austin Eckler is an awesome running back. He's arguably one of the best dual threat running backs in the league. He's a great receiver. He's a hard-nosed runner. I like their receiving core. Keenan Allen has been one of the top receivers in the league for a while now. Mike Williams had a good breakout season last year. Not sure who they have at tight end. It was Jared Cook, and he's pretty old, so I don't know about that. But they got so many other weapons across the board. Now Justin Herbert. I love Justin Herbert. I think Justin Herbert is a insane talent. He's crazy good. I mean, he's just an absolute freak. He's a stud. I like him a lot. My only thing with him is that just up until this year, he hasn't won the big games. He hasn't won any big games. He's yet to play a playoff game, and he's yet to win big games. So I mean, a lot of people are ready to crown Justin Herbert the king of the NFL. They say, he's better than Joe Burrow. He's a better physical talent than Patrick Mahomes. They say, they're ready to crown Justin Herbert as the second coming of Tom Brady or something like that. I mean, they're just saying the next day. Yeah, I don't know, but a lot of people are crowning him as the king of the NFL, and I think that is a little bit ridiculous. I think he's getting a lot more hype right now than is deserving. Because if you really look at it, he hasn't won big games yet. He's yet to play in a playoff game, and he hasn't won big games. But I do see that changing this year. I like him a lot. He's a stud. He's very talented. I have the Chargers winning the division. I have the Chiefs second with 11-6. Obviously, losing Tyreek Hill was a big hit. They lost Byron Pringle, right? Too, or did they lose Mecole Hardman? They lost one of those two guys.
Mecole Hardman still with Kansas City.
Okay, so they lost Tyrann Mathieu. So
their receivers are Juju,
Sky Moore.
Juju and Sky Moore. I like Sky Moore.
I think Kelsey.
And
Travis Kelce.
I mean, obviously Travis Kelce. Yeah, I see the Chiefs being a very good team still, but I see it more. I see Patrick Mahomes really more kind of being the only reason they win
putting
now.
that team on his back.
Yeah, like because the past couple of years he had Tyreek Hill, best deep ball threat, which was perfect for his arm talent. Travis Kelce, best tight end in the league. They had a good defense. People dogged on their defense, said that was the weak spot of their team. I think they had a solid defense. Their defensive line was really actually pretty good. Tyrann Mathieu is one of the best safeties in the league. But they lost him now. So I see the Chiefs taking a step back this year, just because they don't quite have the talent and the firepower that they've had in recent years. I see Patrick Mahomes putting the team completely on his back, and that being really the only reason they win 11 games. They're obviously still a playoff team because of Patrick Mahomes, though. And I have the Raiders being third. I have the Raiders going 10-7 at third place. I've never really been too high on the Raiders, but I do like them for this year. They have just as good of weapons as almost anyone in the league. They have the best receiver in the NFL. They have Hunter Renfrow, who you could argue is the best route runner in the NFL. Darren Waller is probably the top 4 tight end. Top 5 tight end.
He's up there.
Yeah, I mean
he's very good.
Yeah, he's a very good tight end.
Yes.
Their offensive line, I think they get the job done.
Yeah, they're decent.
Josh Jacobs.
As long as they don't run into Alex Leatherwood.
Yeah. I think Josh Jacobs is a good running back. I think I don't think he's, I'm not putting him in the top 10 running backs, but I think he is a good running back, and he will do well this year. Defense, obviously, Max Crosby is one of the best ends in the league. They got a good defense. So I see him at 10-7. Derek Carr has a plethora of weapons. I see them doing well this year. All right, now this has been kind of my hot take for the offseason that we've talked about. I see the Broncos being last, and I see them going to 8-9. You could flip that for 9-8, either one of those two. They have a lot of weapons. Okay, on paper they are spectacular. They have weapons galore on paper. They have a spectacular defense, but I don't know. I really can't tell you why. I just see them being that one team that everybody says is going to be really good, and then just kind of underperforms a little bit. 8-9, 9-8 is not bad. They're still in contention for the playoffs, absolutely. Russell Wilson does well. Jerry Jeudy, I agree. I think he will have a pretty good season this year. I like Javonte Williams a lot as well. I just, for some reason, there's always that one team going into the season that people hype up a lot, and they hype them up a lot because they look good on paper, but I just don't know about the Broncos. I see them being about an average team, but average for the AFC, that's a playoff contender. So that's what I got
for sure this year. All right, my predictions: I have the Chargers winning the division at 13-4, one of the best rosters in the NFL. Right. I think Patrick Mahomes is a better quarterback than Justin Herbert, but Justin Herbert is still a top 5 quarterback in the league. Patrick Mahomes is still a better quarterback than Justin Herbert, but Justin Herbert is by no means a slouch.
No.
And when that comes into play, the roster of the Chargers, top to bottom, is better than Kansas City.
I agree with that.
I have Kansas City at 12-5, like you said. It's going to be more of Patrick Mahomes putting the team on his back, saying, I'm going to take you to 12 wins, and the rest of the team's going to go along with him. Mm-hmm. Like they said, they lost Tyreek Hill, Tyrann Mathieu, the receiving core. Clyde Edwards-Helaire is not fantastic in the running game. Their offensive line is good, not great, especially in years past. But still, 12 wins in this division is
for any division,
incredible.
They're a playoff team.
Yeah, they're
way.
a playoff team. So yeah, Chiefs 12-5. I have the Broncos in third at 10-7. Raiders in fourth at 9-8. It comes down to one thing for me. I think Derek Carr is the worst quarterback in the division.
I agree with that. I do agree with that.
He's not bad.
Yeah.
If the Raiders were put in the AFC South or NFC East, they'd win the division.
100%.
Right, with 11 or 12 wins.
Yeah.
But because of the division that they play in, it's going to be hard for them to get to double-digit wins. I think the Broncos have a better quarterback. I think they have a better running back. I think they have a better O-line. I think they have a better defense. Personally,
they do. I honestly couldn't tell you why, and I'm not hating on them. I love Russell Wilson, and I like the Broncos.
You just have a feeling.
I just have a feeling that they're going to be that one team this offseason. And I've said that the whole offseason.
That very well could be a home run take.
Yeah. But
It's a high risk.
yeah. And I will say one more thing that I forgot to throw in there about the Raiders. I like the Raiders this year because of Josh McDaniels. I think Josh McDaniels is a very good coach.
He's going to make that offense a lot
He
better.
came from the Patriots, and I think he's going to make that. I think he's going to make that offense take the next step. So I like Josh McDaniels. And seeing them play, I know it's preseason and it doesn't matter. It was a lot of backups and stuff, but seeing them play in the Hall of Fame game, they rolled the Jags, and they looked very sharp from the ones all the way down to the practice squad. They looked very good.
Right.
So I kind of like them right now.
Yeah, I think for the Raiders, it just is wrong place, wrong time. Personally,
Just wrong division.
The Raiders are very good. The Raiders are a good football team, and I've also never really been high on the Raiders. I think last year was a bit of a fluke that they went to the playoffs.
I don't think they were a playoff team last year.
No, I don't think they were either. I think
This year though, they could be.
Yeah, I think the likes of like the Raiders and the Steelers made the playoffs because teams like the Colts and the Chargers imploded. The last 2 weeks of the season.
That's why I'm not incredibly high on Herbert like everyone else
Here's
is, because
the
he
thing
don't
with
win
that.
big games.
It's not his fault.
I know.
that they
I know you
lost.
can say that, but either way,
If
they
you
don't
watch that game against the Raiders,
win. It was
he
a heck
did
of a game.
everything in his power.
I know,
He
I know.
converted a 4th and 21 in the end zone.
I know.
Justin Herbert is the real deal.
He is. I just am not putting him above Burrow, Mahomes, Allen, Brady, and Rodgers.
He's going to be playing with a chip on his shoulder. I think that whole Chargers team is going to be playing with a chip on his shoulder. Even Khalil Mack couldn't get it done in Chicago. J.C. Jackson was called overrated in New England.
Yeah.
And like Mike Williams, breakout year, Keenan Allen, top 15 receiver in the league.
For sure.
Austin Eckler, I think he's a little bit overrated because of fantasy purposes, but he's still
I
he is still a very good dual threat running back.
I don't know. I love Herbert, and I am high on Herbert. He is very good. People are just like crowning him as the king, and I'm like, let's wait till he actually makes the playoffs.
Fair.
You know, like let's hold off on saying he's the best quarterback in the league here, saying he's better than a guy that went to the Super Bowl. You know, it's like.
I've got my reasoning, but I'm not. It's too long. We're not going to go into
debate.
it. Yeah.
That could be a whole podcast in itself.
For sure.
Are we doing the playoffs now, or are we just going to move to the NFC and do playoffs?
Got the NFC, man.
I think we should do NFC.
Okay.
All right. NFC is weak, so I think we should just make this brief because there's really not too many exciting teams. But we'll start with the NFC East. Pretty bad division normally, but I have the Dallas Cowboys winning the division at 11-6. I have the Philadelphia Eagles at 2nd, 10-7. The Washington Commanders at 8-9, replacing 3rd, and the New York Giants at 4-13. Cowboys, I think they're the best team in the division. They're still not great, but I mean, Dak Prescott's a good quarterback. We'll see how Zeke does. I think CeeDee Lamb's going to have a tremendous season. Their defense is okay. I think.
Didn't they add Randy Gregory? No, they lost Randy Gregory.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think they'll be all right. The Eagles, I think the Eagles are going to have a great season. I love the addition of A.J. Brown. I know that people have mixed feelings about Jalen Hurts. I like Jalen Hurts. I think he brings a lot to the table as a runner, and I think with Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert, and A.J. Brown as his weapons, I think he could do a lot of damage with them. Plus, they still have a good O-line. Their defense, they brought in players like Nakobe Dean. They still have Fletcher Cox, I'm pretty sure. They still have a solid defense, so I think they're going to be one of the more surprising teams. Plus, they have a really easy schedule.
Playing the NFC East.
They have the easiest schedule in the NFL. So I think that's going to go a long way. And then the Washington Commanders, I have them going 8-9. 3rd place, Carson Wentz. Nick, you'd know this. Quarterback. Okay, if not really bad.
Yeah.
Upgrade over Taylor Heineke.
Yeah.
Definitely. Well, I mean, they signed Terry McLaurin to a big extension. He's going to be phenomenal. They still have Curtis Samuel. I think Jahan Dotson's going to be a kind of a sneaky rookie. I think he's going to have a solid year. We'll see if Antonio Gibson's going to have a bounce back season. And then their defense, Chase Young had an awful season last year and then got hurt. So we'll see if their defense is going to be how it was 2 years ago when it was one of the top in the league. But I think that at 8-9 is a solid spot for them. The Giants, kind of like we've talked about, I just don't. Nothing stands out to me. Daniel Jones is bad. That's all I can say. He's not a good quarterback. Saquon Barkley just came off of an injury-riddled season. We'll see if he bounces back. I'm not in love with any of their receivers. I mean, they've already tried to trade their pick from last year. Sterling Sharp's okay. Kenny Galladay was terrible last year, and their O-line is awful as well. I'm not high on any of them. I like the Texans. Their best player is like Saquon.
Yeah. Which is better than Davis Mills.
Yeah.
But Saquon is so injury prone.
Yeah.
He's kind of
who knows how long he's going to play.
I just don't. The Giants aren't good.
Yeah, I agree.
I think I'll take it from here. I also have the Cowboys winning the division at 11-6. Eagles winning the division at 10-7. Commanders winning the division at 8-9, and then the Giants are my worst team in the league at 2-15. We'll start with the Cowboys. I think they have the best roster. Dak Prescott. I don't know if I was up all night between them and the Eagles because I think the Eagles are really good. They have a very good roster. They have a very good roster. I just think there's less question marks when it comes to Dallas. In terms of a whole team, CeeDee Lamb, I think, like you said, is going to have a breakout year. Dak Prescott is a good quarterback. Zeke is a decent running back. I think he's a little bit overrated, but he's still a decent running back. Their offensive line is not as good as it has been, but still very good. My big issue with them is Mike McCarthy. I don't think Mike McCarthy is a good head coach.
He's won a Super Bowl.
And Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, and Aaron Rodgers.
Well, I know, but
he also stopped Aaron Rodgers from winning 2 or 3
Did
more.
you see the final play of the Dallas 6 season last year?
No, yeah.
That might have been one of the worst plays I've ever seen.
Eagles 10-7. I think you could very easily swap the Cowboys and Eagles. I think the Eagles, Jalen Hurts has only improved since he started playing football at a high school level. He has only gotten better. There's never been a year where he's stayed the same or gotten worse. Ever since he's been at high school, since he went to Alabama and then Oklahoma, and now in the NFL with the Eagles. A.J. Brown, I think they have the best receiving core in the division. A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert. I don't think Miles Sanders is not a good running back, but their offensive line is still good.
They also have a large running back by committee. They have Gainwell.
It's
they used
4
last year.
Their offensive line.
And Jalen Hurts in and of himself can scramble and make plays with his legs.
Tremendous runner.
And their defense is decent, not great. I think it just comes down to the fact that the NFC is much weaker than the AFC. The Commanders 8-9, like you said, Carson. I don't think Carson Wentz is as bad as a lot of people say that he is, even based on how last year ended. If you look at his statistical production, he had 27 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. He was serviceable for the Colts until week 18.
He's a serviceable quarterback.
And like you said, Antonio Gibson, we'll see if he has a bounce back year. Terry McLaurin, they just signed to a massive extension. Their defense is decent on paper, but we'll see. And then the Giants at 2-15, I don't see anything good with that team. Daniel Jones is trash. Their receivers are trash. Saquon Barkley I don't want to say he's going to get hurt after 3 weeks again, but he might get hurt after 3 weeks again. Their offensive line is bad. Their head coach is bad. Their defense is not great.
I'm glad I'm not a Giants fan.
So I got I got Cowboys winning the division at 11-6. They probably have the best roster in this division. They got Zeke is a little overrated, but he is still a good running back. You guys basically held on everything with the Cowboys. I will say though that I think their defense is a little bit weak. I think Trayvon Diggs is not really what people think he is.
No, he's not.
I think he's a mid-tier corner. So defensively, they aren't great, but offensively, they got a good amount of offensive firepower. I have Eagles going 10-7, second. I think you could. It's like you said, you could easily flip those two because the Eagles actually do have a very good roster.
The Eagles are poised to win now.
They are. I like what they've done with A.J. Brown. I really like this team, this Eagles team. But I'm not super high on Jalen Hurts. I'm not I don't know how to feel about Jalen Hurts. I think
he's kind of a polarizing.
Yeah, I'm not sure how I feel about him because I think he definitely can be good and I think he will be, but I also don't really know if he's that guy.
Yeah, I don't think he has the capability to go from here to here.
Yeah, I don't think he's that guy, but I think he's good and I think he will do well. So that's just kind of a question mark for me. But other than that, I like the Eagles. Commanders, like you said, on paper, they have one of the better defenses in the league. So we'll see if they can get back to that. I have them going 8-9. Offensively, they don't have much. I don't
Terry
think.
McLaurin.
Yeah, I think Terry McLaurin's really their only bright spot. Antonio Gibson's okay.
Carson Wentz is like
Carson Wentz.
Their offensive line's okay. It's just meh.
Yeah, like that's what the Commanders' whole team is just meh.
Yeah.
Like it's just
they're just like middle.
It's just a very mid-tier team, like the very mid-tier team. Yeah. The Giants, I have the Giants going 4-13. I have them being like the second worst team in the league. They are god awful. They have nothing good. They're a terrible team, both sides of the ball. Everything in that franchise from top to bottom is terrible. They suck.
There you go.
Saquon Barkley.
Got right to it.
Yeah, you could just stop talking right there, and then it's all you
Yeah,
need
I
to
mean,
say.
Saquon Barkley, I don't want to hate on him because he's talented.
I loved him at Penn State.
I loved him at Penn
Yeah.
State. He is talented, but he's done nothing in the NFL so far, I don't think.
Good rookie year.
I mean,
I think he won Offensive Rookie of the Year, and then he's been hurt the rest of the time.
yeah, I guess, but I just,
What O-line is he running behind?
Yeah, I mean, he's a solid back, yeah, but I mean, everything else around him is just so completely terrible. I mean, they drafted what's the Oregon guy? What's his face from Oregon?
What position?
Not Sewell.
Defensive end.
Thibodeau.
Kayvon Thibodeau.
They also got the one offensive lineman.
Evan Neal.
Yeah, Evan Neal.
But I mean,
They had a decent draft.
even
Yeah.
Still-
Only bright
still.
spot in that team.
even with those two additions, they are awful
Yeah.
from top to bottom.
Yeah.
So they're about like the Texans. They're terrible. So
I agree. All right, NFC North. I have the Packers winning the division, 12-5. Minnesota Vikings second, 9-8. Detroit Lions 6-11 at third, and the Bears at last at 4-13. The Packers, they lost Devontae Adams, really sucks. Still have Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
Back-to-back MVPs, really all I need to say. Their running backs are phenomenal with Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon, like both of them, and I think Alan Lazard's going to have a really good season. I think he's going to be their wide receiver one. Plus, they also got Christian Watson, who I like. Defensive line, or defense as a whole, is how it hasn't changed much since last season.
Very solid.
Yeah, we'll see. The O line's been a bit banged up lately, but you have Aaron Rodgers back there. I'm not worried. Vikings, Kirk Cousins, the definition of a middle quarterback, just will win you games, but won't win you the big games.
He will not win you the big ones.
Yeah. Justin Jefferson, one of the best receivers in the league. Dalvin Cook, one of the best running backs in the league. Yeah, really all I need to say. Defenses,
On paper.
serviceable.
yeah, serviceable. Lions, Jared Goff's their quarterback, hinders them a lot. DeAndre Swift, I think, is a good running back. Amon-Ra St. Brown's going to have a good season. They brought in, what's his face from the Jags? DJ Chark, who I'm a fan of. They drafted Aiden Hutchinson, who I think will have a pretty big impact there. And like we said, they were one of the most exciting teams last year, and I think
Despite going 3-4.
yeah, and I think they build on that and they win 6 games. The Bears, I have them kind of in the Giants territory where they have Justin Fields, and that's it. David Montgomery is a good running back, but he's injury prone. Their receivers are probably the worst in the league. And
They're up there.
And
now that you say that, they're up there.
I can barely even name you one of them.
It's Darnell
Yeah,
Mooney,
that's about
N'Keal
it.
Harry, and then a rookie. N'Keal Harry is bad. And I don't know who it's like some rookie I've never heard before. Darnell Mooney's good, but yeah, he's solid. And then the defense is I don't know.
Roquan Smith. That's basically it.
Basically, if they lost Khalil Mack, that's all you need to say. I think they're going to be one of the worst teams in the league.
Yeah.
All right. So I got Packers winning 11-6. I think the loss of Devontae Adams is going to kind of hinder them a little bit because his best receiver is Alan Lazard.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
he's-
it was also the best receiver in the league too.
Yeah, I do like Christian Watson. I like that they brought him in. I think that was a good pick. They do have phenomenal running backs, defense. They're solid. 11-6, and that's pretty much just because of Aaron Rodgers. Yeah,
Kind of like the Chiefs where Aaron Rodgers going to
Yeah. put the team on the back
Aaron
carry.
Rodgers is going to carry this team to 11 wins and a playoff berth.
MVPs.
There you go. I got Vikings second, going 9-8. I think the Vikings are going to take a step up this year. I think they implemented a new offense I think they're going to take a step up.
Do they have a new head coach, or is it the same?
They have a new head coach. They fired Zimmer after last year.
Yeah, so they got they hired someone from the Rams, didn't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, so they're bringing in a different style offense, which I think is going to hugely help Kirk Cousins. He's not great. He's very mid tier, but I think if they run something similar to the Rams,
the job done.
Yeah, if they run an offense similar to the Rams,
success.
I think he would be able to have more success. Justin Jefferson's 2 or 3 receiver in the league.
They have Thielen as well.
Thielen. They got Cook, great running back. I see them taking a pretty solid year. Lions, I also have 6-11. I think they do take a step up, but they still just aren't great.
Yeah.
Because they are still, in my opinion, a pretty bad football team. But I do see them taking a step up. Jared Goff is not good at all. But they do have DeAndre Swift, good running back. Jameson Williams was a good addition. I like that at receiver.
He's going to be on it, and he's got a torn ACL, but he'll come back.
Yeah, we'll
but
see when he plays.
If he's healthy, I like that.
Their receiving core is one of the better young cores.
In the NFC.
Yeah.
In the NFL.
But
Not like Bengals.
Well, yeah, obviously.
But
They're pretty good.
Aiden Hutchinson, it's a good addition, but I think people are still a little high on him. I don't think he's spectacular. I think he is good, but I don't think he's like Myles Garrett or people like that. I don't think he's spectacular. So that's the end of that. 6-11. I have the Bears going 5-12. They're terrible. It's Justin Fields.
Same thing with the Giants.
Yeah,
Texans, teams like that.
That's really what it is. It's the same thing with the Giants and the Texans. Justin Fields is a solid piece, but other than that,
They got your offensive coordinator or defensive coordinator?
They got Eberflus as their head coach, defensive coordinator.
I don't see them getting a new head coach. I don't see that really doing much to change anything. They still have 0 pieces besides Fields.
I will say,
their receivers are completely putrid.
Yeah. I will say that I do think that Justin Fields is going to be better than he was last year, but I don't think he's going to be spectacular just because of what's around him.
Yeah, Justin Fields is in a really bad situation with the Bears. The Bears are terrible.
I think he's in the worst out of that.
Out of that class, absolutely.
Now, but
the Bears are bad, and I don't see that changing. So.
My division, the NFC North, got the Packers win the division at 11-6, Vikings at 10-7. I think it is very similar to the NFC East. The Vikings' weapons are miles better than the Packers.
Yeah.
And Aaron Rodgers, I get he's won back-to-back MVPs. He's turning 38. Right? Yeah. How much longer is he gonna? I'm not banking on him to fall off the cliff, which is why I have the Packers winning the division.
Yeah.
But the Vikings are one of those teams where if they can just put it all together, they can make a deep playoff run.
Yeah.
With the likes of Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen, Dalvin Cook, a decent O-line. Kirk Cousins, like you said, can't win the big games.
Yeah, I think they gotta get a quarterback.
Yeah. Their defense with the likes of Harrison Smith, teams like that. Safety isn't the major impact position.
Still
but
a good player.
Harrison Smith is still one of the best safeties in the league.
Yeah.
But I still have the Packers win the division just because I think Aaron Rodgers is a top 5 quarterback of all time. He's won back-to-back MVPs for a reason. And I like the Vikings. Kirk Cousins still hasn't proven to me that he can get it done.
Yeah.
I have the Lions going 8-9. I think they're another one of my sleeper breakout teams this year. I think they're a sneak.
I have them going 6-11.
I think they are a sneaky playoff contender in the NFC. Personally,
I don't know about that.
Just because the NFC is not great.
Yeah. I just don't see if I see the Lions in the playoffs.
They have a top 10 offensive line. DeAndre Swift is a very good young running back. Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jameson Williams, DJ Chark, Aiden Hutchinson on the defense. Their defense is still going to be the weak point of that team. And here's the X factor of that team: Dan Campbell. Yeah. That entire team would die for that man, which is why they were one of the more exciting teams in the league. I think they're gonna take a step up from last year. They went 3-14. That team was fighting hard for almost every single game. If Jared Goff can play somewhat like he did in 2018 when he had the likes of I don't think Cooper Kupp had quite broke out yet.
Yeah, but he had Todd
When
Gurley.
they went to the Super Bowl, Todd Gurley and all them.
Yeah.
Brandon Cooks.
Yeah. If he can play more close to that, I think the Lions could be a decent, a very, very sneaky playoff team that no one's really talking about. And then the Bears last 4-13. Like you just said, you think Justin Fields is going to improve. I don't. Only because he has absolutely zero help.
Yeah.
On all sides of the ball. He's like you said, he's in by far the worst situation of any quarterback in this class. No receivers, no O-line, okay running back, not a great defense, first-year head coach.
It's a pretty bad situation.
Yeah, he's in the worst.
My fear is that they're just going to move on from him and blame him for all their issues after this year. But, like, he's got no help. He's running for his life every single time they play any team with a decent defensive line.
Yeah.
Like, I think his first game against the Browns last year, he got sacked 9 times.
Probably.
Yeah, I think
Something like that.
Yeah.
Like that. That's all you need to know.
Yep.
Yeah, that's my division. I could easily see the Vikings and Packers flip, just because I think the Vikings have a better overall roster, but I don't think Kirk Cousins has shown to me that he's getting it done, and he's had enough time. Yeah, that sums it up.
Right. We got NFC South and NFC West left. We'll start with the NFC South. I got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers going 13-4 and winning the division. I have the Carolina Panthers second in the division going 9-8. I have the Saints third at 8-9, and the Falcons at fourth at 6-11. Bucks undoubtedly the best team in this division, if not the best team in the NFC. Tom Brady came back, had a phenomenal year last year. Probably going to do the same this year. They still have Mike Evans. They brought in Julio Jones. Godwin I think he practiced yesterday.
He did practice.
So he'll be back. Leonard Fournette is still top running back, one of the best offensive lines. Defense is one of the best.
That's fantastic.
Defense is, if not the best, one of the best. Carolina Panthers, they just traded for Baker Mayfield, which I think is going to help them in the long run. I think he's better than Sam Darnold, obviously. They have DJ Moore, Robbie Anderson, guys like that. If CMC has a healthy season, I think he's going to be one of their best. He's going to be their best player. Their defense is not too shabby at all. They have an overall talented roster. 9-8, I think.
It's a little bit young, but they're getting there.
Yeah, I think 9-8 is not a great season, not a terrible season, just right in the middle. Saints at 8-9. At first, looking at this, I thought the Saints were going to be really, really bad. But Michael Thomas came back, which gives me a little bit more hope. And Jameis Winston, his rehab's been going pretty well. So we'll see with Kamara because he's still with that legal stuff. But I think Chris Olave will step in and be a big help. They still have a solid defense, and they're just the Saints. Like kind of how the Steelers are. I think the culture they have is good. I know they just lost Sean Payton and they have a new coach, but I think 8-9 is doable. At Falcons at 6-11, I think they very well could be like the Steelers, where they have the worst quarterback room, if not.
I completely forgot about the Falcons.
Because Marcus Mariota and Desmond Ridder. Desmond Ridder is fine, but as of right now, I don't think he's ready. And Marcus Mariota, I'm not high on either.
Yeah.
Running back wise, Cordell Patterson, I do not think he's going to have the same amount of production as he did last year. They don't have Calvin Ridley, who's their best receiver. Their best receiver is Drake London, who I think he's going to be really good. But that's just because there's nobody else to throw to. Yeah. And then they have Kyle Pitts, obviously, who's a beast. But what concerns me is he had 1 touchdown last year. I think that'll go up, but I still don't think it's going to be anything like too crazy. He's still obviously a heck of a tight end. O-line, nothing crazy. Defense,
Defense.
AJ Terrell's good.
AJ Terrell's good, but other than that, it's bad.
I don't think the Falcons are anything special. I think they have a better, more talented roster than Bears, Giants, and Texans.
For sure.
But I still don't see them being a good team at all.
Like I said, you said Buccaneers 13-4. I agree with that. They're by far and away the best team in the division, arguably the best team in the NFC, from top to bottom, with the return of Tom Brady. Wide receiver room's arguably best in the league. Leonard Fournette is not fantastic, but he's still decent.
Solid.
Yeah. Their offensive line is very good. Defense could be top 5 in the league yet again. As for the rest of the teams, I'm not as high on them as you all are. I have the Saints and Panthers going 6-11. And with the Saints, it relies solely on the fact that I don't know when Alvin Kamara is going to play. And even if he does play, I don't think their offensive line, and I don't think their offensive line's that good. I think the loss of Sean Payton is huge. I think Sean Payton's been their coach for 15 years?
a long time.
Yeah, Drew Brees era.
Yeah, Drew Brees.
I think Sean Payton kind of made Drew Brees. Their defense is decent, but not great. Their defense is, in my opinion, arguably the strength of the team. But Chris Olave is still young. Michael Thomas, we don't know when he's going to be back. And even if he does come back, we don't know if he's going to have the similar production.
I think he's going to play.
He's been practicing.
I think he's going to play week 1, but I don't.
We don't know if he's going to have similar production.
You just don't know if he's going to
hasn't
play
played football in 2 years.
I mean, we don't know when Jameis Winston's going to be back. They may have Taysom Hill as their quarterback, right? Is it Taysom Hill?
Yeah.
It's Taysom Hill.
It
And you saw Taysom Hill play a quarterback for a few games. He just wasn't good. The Panthers, I would have had them higher, but I've heard that Baker Mayfield has not been playing well in training camp at all, and that scares me for that team.
Yeah.
If Baker Mayfield plays like he did in his last healthy season in Cleveland, I think the Panthers could be a sneaky playoff team. Just because they have the likes of CMC, Robbie Anderson, DJ Moore, and their defense is not great, but it's young and it's improving. I don't think Matt Rule was that good of a head coach.
Yeah.
I think Matt Rule was incredibly overrated in his first year, and he took a massive step back last year. He didn't really show any signs of improvement after the first 3 weeks. And then I have the Falcons at 3-14. Their defense is arguably the worst in the league outside of AJ Terrell. And Marcus Mariota, I get he was done incredibly dirty by Tennessee. As someone who's been a fan of a team in that division, Marcus Mariota did not deserve that. I still don't think he's a good NFL quarterback, and like you said, I don't think Desmond Ridder is quite ready to step into that role yet, but he might have to, depending on how well Marcus Mariota plays. Drake London, I think he's more of a raw prospect than a lot of the other receivers in the class, but I think like you said, I think he has the highest ceiling. I just think it's going to take a little bit more time. The bright spot of that team, the bright spot of that team is obviously Kyle Pitts, but like you said, he only had 1 touchdown last year. I don't think it's as big of a deal as some people think it is.
No. I mean, he had 1,000 yards receiving, which was the highest.
Yeah, and like you said, I don't think Cordero Patterson's gonna do nearly the same production. Their offensive line isn't great. Their head coach,
plus he kind of had an anomaly.
Yeah, he did.
He was like a Swiss Army knife type of guy.
He just kind of came out of nowhere. He has never had a season like
he's
that.
never been.
Yeah.
I think he said he wants to get break the record for touchdowns and kick returns or something.
Yeah, he's an interesting guy to have on a roster.
He really is.
For sure.
All right, Bucks far and away best team in the division.
I agree with that. I have Bucks winning at 13-4. With the return of Tom Brady, they arguably have one of the most complete rosters in the NFL. Receiving room, top 1 or 2 of the league. A very serviceable running back, good line, best quarterback of all time under center, and probably a top 5 defense. I got them 13-4, best team in the NFC. I have the Saints going 10-7. And this is assuming that all those guys are healthy and actually play. So Alvin Kamara actually plays. Michael Thomas. I'm hoping to see Michael Thomas come back and at least be somewhere near where he was that year he won Offensive Player of the Year. If he's even somewhere near that, I think he's a good wide receiver 1 for this team. I see Chris Olave having a pretty good season. He's not a spectacular season, but I see him stepping up and playing well for that team. Jameis Winston is a huge question mark. I don't really think Jameis Winston is great. I think
30 touchdowns, 30 picks in his last full year.
Yeah, they need to. The Saints need to invest in they need to draft a quarterback. So I mean, and they've always had a good defense. So I see them 10-7, and that's definitely generous. But that's what I got. I got Panthers going 6-12 or 6-11. I'm not super high on the Panthers. Baker Mayfield, especially with hearing he's not been playing well.
He's not been playing well.
I think he's solid. Maybe we'll see. Christian McCaffrey, I'm assuming he's going to get hurt again. That's just kind of how it always has happened in the NFL. I hope not. I love him. He's a great player.
If he stays healthy, he can single-handedly win them 2 or 3 games.
Oh, for sure. And I love him. He's a spectacular player. He's fun to watch, but he hasn't been healthy the whole time he's been in the league. So I don't see it happening. Robbie Anderson, DJ Moore, both good receivers, being thrown to by Baker Mayfield. So I don't see the Panthers being as high as what you guys were talking about. I have the Falcons last, 5-12. A lot of the same reasons. The best player on their team is Kyle Pitts. He scored 1 touchdown last year. He is a great tight end, though. He is
He will
definitely
be an absolute stud.
he is a
in the next
generational tight end talent.
Yeah.
They just need to get more pieces around him because everything else on that team is really not good. Marcus Mariota is definitely not an NFL quarterback. Desmond Ridder is not ready. And Drake London is a very raw talent who I think is going to need to take some time in development with a better quarterback. So I don't think Drake London's going to really have a great year due to the fact that they have a bad quarterback. So that's what I got for the Falcons.
All right, moving on to the NFC West. I have the Los Angeles Rams winning the division at 12-5. The Arizona Cardinals are second at 10-7. 49ers are third at 9-8, and the Seahawks last at 5-12. Rams coming off Super Bowl. They did lose a couple pieces, but they still have Cooper Kupp, Stafford, Akers is going to be fully healthy. So Aaron Donald, they're still a great team. Arizona Cardinals. D-Hop is going to be suspended for the first 6 games, which is going to hurt them a little bit, but I still think Kyler is a phenomenal quarterback. They brought in Marquise Brown, so he'll have the best receiving core that he's had in his tenure. James Conner, I don't think he's going to have the touchdown production he did last year, but I still think he's going to be a serviceable running back. And then their defense is solid. I mean, they lost Chandler Jones, but I still think they have pieces to get the job done. But I think it's going to be kind of like Mahomes, and then not to the extent, but I think Kyler's really going to have to carry this team. The Niners at 9-8. The only reason I have the Niners at 9-8 is because of Trey Lance. I think Trey Lance is going to have a good season, but I don't. He's not going to have the success as Jimmy G did just because of the experience. I like their defense is great. They have Bosa and they have a really good Fred Warner. They got
the best linebacker in the league. Yeah.
Their defense is going to help them a lot. I honestly could see them and the Cardinals switching at 10-7 and 9-8, but I think running back is a concern for me. I don't think Elijah Mitchell is going to have that great of a season, and we'll see how like Brandon Ayuk and some of those receivers do. But I know Jimmy G isn't great, but I think Jimmy G did help them a little bit, and I think Trey Lance is still a raw quarterback. And then I have Seahawks at last. Like we said, they have probably the worst quarterback room with Drew Lock and Geno Smith. Chris Carson just retired, so that takes a bit of a hit in their running backs. I think Penny will be fine, but he's injury prone. And then they brought in Kenneth Walker, I think will do good. They still have DK and Tyler Lockett. Yeah, they have DK and Tyler Lockett, which is still good. Their offensive line is one of the worst in the league, and their defense has taken a hit over the last couple of years. So I just don't. It's one of those where you can only do as much as your quarterback. So I think they're going to be the worst.
All right. I got Rams winning the division 11-6. They retained a lot of their pieces coming off of the Super Bowl run, so I mean, there's really not much else to say there. I do think Cooper Kupp cools off a little bit.
Yeah, because he had the greatest wide receiver season of all time.
Arguably.
Yeah, so I do think that he cools off a little bit, but I still think he's a top 5 receiver. Yeah, just not quite that
level. Yeah,
and a healthy Cam Akers is, I think, going to make a huge impact. Cam Akers is a very good running back, and he's healthy. I like that. So, Aaron Donald, Jalen Ramsey, they got Bobby Wagner. Yeah, not much else to say. They're a good team. Cardinals, I have them going 10-7. I like Kyler Murray with Marquise Brown a lot. They were together in college. They were dominant in college. So I like that quarterback-receiver duo a lot. James Conner, I think he's a serviceable running back. Defensively, yeah, I mean, I think 10-7 might be a little generous for them, but I mean, just because I think Kyler Murray's a pretty good quarterback, so I think Kyler Murray will be able to will them to a couple of wins. 49ers, I have them also 10-7. I like Trey Lance. I think Trey Lance is going to be pretty good.
I think he's going to be good too.
Now, I mean, I agree that you are losing that experience and just veteran, composure and stuff. With losing Jimmy Garoppolo, but I like Trey Lance. Trey Lance is really talented. I think he's going to do very well with the 49ers. I like this 49ers